Hi there, my name is Caitlin Moose, and today I'm talking about shot sizes. So when you're looking to make a film, you're going to be thinking about how can I use shots and what's in the frame to best tell the story. And in pre-production, you may make a shot list of all the shots that you want to get, but even you may already have an idea of how you want it even edited after the fact. But you're still going to end up getting a bunch of these different shot sizes and angles for coverage. And that way you have enough footage to cut from in the editing room for people's performances that may differ, or just how things can flow together more easily, especially when it comes to things like continuity. So when you're the director or the DP or even the editor, it's important to know what you're trying to convey within the story so that you can choose the best shot and angle to deliver on that message and best move the story forward. So keep this in mind when you're making your film. Here are some common shot sizes to consider. We have the establishing shot. Now this is usually used to establish your location and setting. So where you are, what time of day, you're establishing the scene. So usually you'll see these at the beginning of a scene. You can see them to transition to the next scene. It says, hey, now it's morning and we're doing this. It says, hey, we've now cut to the club and it's nighttime and we're over here now. Or hey, we're back at this person's apartment. Kind of like instead of our lives, we're walking to and from or driving or traveling from point A to point B, we can just cut there and see with an establishing shot where the story is now. And this is usually going to be your big picture shot, a really wide angle to get in that location. This is where your location scouting and your production design is really going to come into effect to see, because we're giving the audience information about where our characters are and the environment and the space that they're in right now. So you're telling an audience where we are in the story, and now we're going to see how the characters interact in that new environment. The master shot is still really wide, but may focus more on the characters rather than just the location. But we're putting our characters within the location, we're seeing their relationship to each other, so how are the characters inhabiting the space so that when you cut to close-ups of everybody, your brain still knows where to place them. So if you're an actor, you want to remember that the master shot is usually the first thing that's filmed, and it's where you're going to see the most of your body as well as the entire area and how you're interacting with it. So that's when blocking is going to be established and how you move within the scene. It's also where you need to be aware of your actions so that you can replicate those for continuity purposes. So if you pick something up with your right hand, be sure to pick it up again with your right hand. So that way later the editor can maybe cut on an action like that. But if you're picking it up with a different hand, then things won't work out and they won't edit together seamlessly. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's also the job of the script supervisor. So they'll be on set writing down things like that to make sure that the filmmakers and the actors stay consistent from take to take in order to keep continuity. Now the master could be a wide shot, which is going to be a much wider angle and showing the character usually in spatial relationship to the environment. So you might see by scale they're much smaller than their surroundings. It may be used to show if they're in a crowd and how they're reacting to all of these people in their environment, or to show loneliness if they're the only people around for miles. It may be used to create mystery as we're trying to identify exactly what's happening. So all different ways to use the wide. The master may also be in a full shot. So this is when you'll see the character's entire body from head to toe. This is when you want to think about costume design, if you're trying to show off what a character is wearing so that the audience can pick up character traits based on that. Maybe the clothes also give a clue to the time period or to their social status. The full shot can also be used to show physicality, any kind of movement or behavior or quirks, or the way that a character carries themselves are all things that the actor and the director are going to work together to decide so that the actor can bring that to life to show personality or to otherwise help enhance the story. Now the next shot is fun. It's the cowboy shot, or the medium full shot, which is basically from the character's top of their head to their mid-thigh. So basically below the waist so that you can see a gun holster. This was typically used in westerns so that you can see, that kind of fighting stance. You see their guns in their holster and their hands at the ready. Now you still might see that, especially when it comes to guns or people in a power stance. So particularly used in action movies. So cowboy shot is always another way to show things about your character, such as a weapon or something else for their profession, or something else along those lines on their costume. Definitely use the cowboy shot if it's going to add more information like that about your character. Next up is the very popular medium shot, which is almost what I'm in, maybe a little more like that. It's gonna be from mid-torso to your head. And that's a really popular choice in filmmaking because that's most closely how we see each other in everyday conversation. So very often going to be used when we're listening to a conversation, a dialogue between characters. And this is just a very natural way for us to get the audience in on the conversation because it's like we're there interacting with them. And then from there you might move in a bit tighter to a medium close-up, which is actually probably more of what I meant, maybe more like here. And this may be the conversation getting more and more intimate. We don't want to see so much of the background and have distractions going on. So we're able to focus more on what the characters are saying and also how the characters are reacting to each other. Now you might come in even closer, and that is your close-up.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
And that's going to be just the actor's face, really focusing in on the eyes so that we can get all of that emotion and what's happening, how they're reacting, how they're feeling, so that we as the audience feel empathy for whatever the character is going through. This can be a little more intense. It can be in times of drama or conflict, a place where your character might be more vulnerable. It can be fear, it could be wonder, but we're getting a sense of what the character feels, and that in turn makes us feel that way about the story. Then we've also got the extreme close-up where you're coming in even closer on the face. Usually it's to see the eyes. It can sometimes be the lips, but it could be any body part. I once did a movie where there was an extreme close-up on the nose, which was fun and flattering for me because my character was smelling smoke or food burning in a kitchen, so that was fun. But we're using an extreme close-up to show detail of something. So what do you really need your audience to focus on and pay attention to? Are they getting more information from a certain reaction? We want them to see a certain detail on a character. Maybe it doesn't even have to be a close-up on the face. It could be a close-up on a badge that they have, a close-up on their weapon that they have. So when we cut to these extreme close-ups of objects, those are insert shots. And a lot of times we'll cut to those insert shots so that the audience can get more detail, see what needs to be focused on, sometimes see a piece of information, more like a point of view from what the character sees. Or maybe it's the exact opposite. It's information that's hidden from the character, but we're letting the audience in on these little details that they need to focus on in that moment. So insert shots with an extreme close-up are really great for that as well. So let's put it all together. When you're watching a scene, typically you'll start out wide to again establish the location, where are we, where are the characters in relation to each other, and then you come in tighter and tighter, focusing on the interactions between characters or what information they're picking up and their reactions to it, and then maybe coming back out again wide to see where it takes them to the next scene. It doesn't always follow that pattern, but hopefully this video gives you an idea of how you can use these different shot sizes within a scene to tell story. There's still certainly a lot to talk about when it comes to framing and composition and different camera angles. So those are all going to be different things to consider when you are getting into storytelling and using your film language to have your audience see things from different perspectives or feel different emotions. But we'll save some of that for another video, so that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.